And Pieper talked about this too, about like leisure and rest not being like a break from the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is actually the more real thing, right? Like Sunday should be the like exemplar of how eternity is going to be. And then that informs how the rest of your week goes. Not like I'm doing really important stuff for 6 days and then I take a break because, you know, I'm tired and then I get back to it.
Yeah.
So you got it upside down.
Welcome back, or welcome to the episode if you're new. Today, we're going to be talking about the classic interpretation of Martha and Mary and the two ways of the spiritual life, or the two ways the Christian life can be lived, but ultimately should be harmonized.
That's right.
To seek after the one thing necessary. So, this gospel from Luke 10:38 through 42. Martha and Mary, Jesus is invited to the house by Martha. Martha's very busy serving, and she complains to Jesus saying, "Make my sister help me out," basically. But Mary sits at the feet of Jesus listening to him speak, and Jesus says this is the better portion. So the interpretation you're going to see, I don't know how far back it goes, but I mean, it's pretty far back, is that Martha is a representative of the active life, and Mary is a representative of the contemplative life. And the contemplative life here is seen as a higher form of life. But ultimately, the two, as I said, should be harmonized into one, that you can't really separate them out. And that's what we want to get into, is kind of a practical understanding of this, because most people are not contemplatives,
right? It's not a podcast for monks.
Exactly. As like I think if
monks can listen, but
yeah, right. If you're listening, you're probably not a cloistered nun. I would imagine.
Statistically speaking.
Yeah. If we've made it into the cloisters, that's a big deal.
Right.
John Henry Newman had a little reflection on who can be said to participate in the portion of Mary. That's what Jesus says, that she's chosen the better part, the better portion. And I think he does a good job of expanding out who contemplative could be. And he has different categories. So he says the old, he said there's a certain period of life.
Retired out.
Yeah, exactly. Your children have all grown up and left the house. If you ever go to daily mass,
right, they're all there.
They're all there. What Archbishop Laurie called them, the prophetess Anna.
That's
that are they're there. They seem to be there day and night.
Yeah.
And maybe they can't tell you about the 3 stages of the spiritual life, but yet
right.
They pray a lot, and they have an experiential knowledge. He says, of course, those who minister at the altar, priests, deacons. He says children, and I don't know. Are you familiar with the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd? Have you heard of that? I know a little bit about it, but one of the main ideas behind it is Catechesis for Children. Is children are natural contemplatives.
Yeah.
Because of their like lively imagination. They're like their ability to get into stories, basically. So, use the scripture and like cultivate that imagination of children for meditation on the life of the Lord. So that's kind of what he's getting at. And he says various circumstances. So this is vacation. He said is one of them, recreation. Basically not, leisure, not working.
Right.
And that's certainly something that I don't think Americans see vacation as a time for contemplation.
Yeah.
But it should be. And of course, last category would be the unmarried. So, I guess that could be, it could be religious life, but I would think that'd be a special category. But
if you're unmarried yet, you better be like praying and stuff because you got a lot of time on your hands.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah, right. It's like if you can't do anything else, you might as well pray. It's free, And it's good to develop your life in the Lord. So I think that helps kind of expand, like I said, the secular, maybe to secular life. Because as soon as you hear Mary's chosen the better portion, the contemplative life, it's like, well, I'm not a cloistered nun. Right. I'm not a monk. In what way does this at all apply to me? And I think it's that even though, there might be different category or different times in your life where you could be more or less contemplative, that it's still a universal call.
Right. Right. It seems like John Henry Newman is talking about these as like vocational aspects of contemplative life as opposed to a life of contemplation. Like we were discussing off camera. That those things are not the same thing, and that even in your active life, you can have a life of contemplation within it. And that's kind of what we're going to start teasing out in this gospel. Funny story, though. This morning, so we have, a newborn child. And so sleep has been on and off, to say the least. But so I woke up a little bit later than I wanted to, and I immediately thought, like, okay, so I got to rush out of here, get breakfast for the kids. We have 5 other children, and I was like, I'm not sure I can do morning prayer. I don't have time. And I was like, pause. Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm about to go rush out to start a podcast about how prayer is more important than the active life. And I'm skipping morning. Like, no. So it was a full stop. And then I was like, you know what? Just for the sake of like really beating myself up, I'm going to time how long it takes to say morning prayer. It was like 6 minutes. So like, you don't have 360 seconds to like really start your day the right way. So anyway, that's how this morning started. But yeah, just even within my own life of framing the like, well, what's the sacred? What's the profane? What's the right thing here? This gospel is so salient to me in that way.
You are busy with many things.
Exactly.
But one thing is necessary.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
In the Greek, it's, we hear in the English, listened to him speak. But in the Greek, it's listened to his word. Just a singular, this logos, the singular word. And I think that really hits home again. So there's one thing necessary, and the one thing is meditation on the word, which is both Christ speaking, but also him. So you can make it, is it meditation on the words of the word, or just even the person of Christ, just that one thing. There's some other interesting aspects of the Greek, also the busyness. The Greek kind of implies that she was objectively busy, because I think sometimes people kind of, I don't know, they have an image of Martha as like neurotic.
Right,
she's like the neurotic host. Like, I'm doing so many things, it's like crazy hair or something. Yeah. And it's like, no, well, she's actually objectively busy, which, again, I think many people are. And it's like, I don't have time to meditate on the word. Yeah. I'm a busy person. I'm a secular person. And I've heard that excuse from, I don't know, excuse sounds so accusatory. That explanation, I don't know. From a lot of people of like, well, I'm not a monk, I'm not a priest, I'm not a nun. I have a lot going on. And I think as St. Francis de Sales would say, it's like, if you are too busy to pray 30 minutes, pray an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of my mom says that to me all the
time. Right. Yeah, right. It's like, if you're too busy to pray, you're too busy, as the cliche goes. Like, you have to keep the one thing necessary. Otherwise, you will be distracted. And that's the burden with serving. That's what's implied there. She's being pulled apart. She's being pulled in different directions. Right. Which is, that's everything. It's sin. It's attention. Right. Exactly. It's like it doesn't even necessarily have to be that you're living a disordered life or something. It's just like you said. It's attention. There's many things that need to be done. So you're kind of being dragged around. But the one thing necessary is actually what's supposed to reorganize everything. Right. Even the word being logo of like, if you think about, Maximus's logoi of being like, within each thing that you do, listen to the logoi. Like, find the word in that. And that's supposed to be the thing that unites everything. So you're not distracted from your main purpose. And then the fact that, like, because you're distracted, you're looking every which way and being pulled apart. And so everything seems chaotic to you. Whereas that if you centered your life and reframed it, everything fits better. But nonetheless, you're still
holding all those things and just as busy, but now you're at rest, right? You're not disturbed or anxious about all the things you have to worry about. Is because they're properly ordered, and then you have this. Well, there's this like, I don't know, fruit. The state I'm in that feels better. It's like, yeah, that's rest. That's peace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the sitting at the feet of the master,
right?
Because Christ says that Mary has chosen the better part, but that's clearly not to say that serving is wrong or that it shouldn't be done. Like,
right.
Things must be, the house must be clean.
Mm-hmm.
The food must be prepared. But I think what he's saying is, it's perhaps not, you're not busy in the right way. That there is maybe a wrong way to be busy.
Right.
And you could be maybe busy with the things of the Lord, or you're busy, but in those things, in the preparation of the food, is an act of service to Christ.
Right.
In this case, the literal person, but in our case, it's the Feast of Saint Benedict today. That idea of hospitality.
Yep.
That every guest is a person, is the image of Christ,
mm-hmm.
to serve them as you would serve Christ. So that's how it is now. It's like, if you don't see the logo, if you don't see the divine in those things, you're going to be fragmented.
Yep, absolutely.
And I think it leads to perhaps even bitterness or resentment of like,
mm-hmm.
I have to do all these stupid small things.
Yeah.
Like, why can't I just pray instead?
Right.
And it's like, well, yeah, of course, prayer is the better part. But if you see them as strictly sacred and profane, and there's no way that the sacred could inform the profane,
right?
Then it's just these two separate worlds.
Right. Yeah, like we talked about last episode, this is like the things that this is touching on and the things we're teasing out is not really an implication that the active life is bad or the world is bad and we should just kind of escape that and go pray all the time, and the people that work and do the mundane, it sucks for them.
Yeah.
But the call is to see how all those things actually have within them the kind of glitteriness of the divine, but the way that you actually have to choose the right part of that thing in order to see the logos in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the contemplative. That is a life of contemplation as opposed to the contemplative life of in your mundane seeing how this serves a higher purpose and is all united. And then maybe, you're washing dishes, you're dealing with kid tantrums. Like, I'm just thinking of my own life of like, you're not going to like in that moment being like, this is connected to the higher purpose. Like maybe you have a little bit of respite in there, but then you have to think fractally of being like, okay, well, now is the time for this. And then I will have my separate time of prayer that will then inform that moment. And maybe in that moment, I'll have a little bit of remembrance of the time that I went out to pray and thought about my life and how it all fits. And that gives me a little bit of respite. So there's always that tension of like, well, you're supposed to just kind of float around in the state of bliss while you're washing the dishes. Like, well, maybe you have a little contemplation about how, the symbolism of water and how that's all, yeah, I mean, I do that sometimes. But in actuality, it's the moments away that then inform the moments in the mundane that's supposed to kind of feed off each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. As a secular Carmelite, a lot of people ask me, like, how does that even work? Really? Because when you think about the Carmelites, the female branch of it is cloistered. Like, mm-hmm. there's really no seriously active, I guess, like you might see them do some active ministry, but it's not anywhere near like, Mother Teresa, let's say.
Right.
And then the friars are usually kind of mixed. They definitely live in a monastery, so for sure they're not out on the streets much. So it's like, so what is a secular, someone who lives in the world, how do they live this cloistered life or this monastic life? And it is the distinction that you talked about of contemplative life and contemplation. Because the contemplative life is a general orientation mm-hmm. towards the life of prayer. It's in this, when you say you have a contemplative life, it's the habit, the dispositions, the tending towards prayer, the moral disciplines and everything like that. But that's not to say that my life is continuous contemplation.
Right.
Like that's
Yep.
that's not
Mm-hmm.
my state of life. But there are moments when, because I live a contemplative life that's oriented towards prayer, I do pray.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
it's like you can't have a
Yeah.
contemplative life,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's like, well, I'm oriented towards prayer, but I never
Yep.
really
Well,
reached that.
even the contemplatives are going to have aspects of their life that are mundane. You got to
Right.
get up.
Yeah.
Got to use the bathroom. Got to eat.
Yeah.
Like you got to do things in the world because you're an embodied being.
Yeah.
And so it really is like a fractal perspective of like at every level you have a sacred and a profane, and you have to pick the right thing in every moment in order for there to be peace and joy and all the things.
Yeah. Yeah. And monks and friars, sisters, if you ever talk to them, they'll tell you it's tough
Yeah.
because you still live with humans.
Exactly.
And believe it or not, even if you guys are praying all the time, they're still annoying.
Yes, exactly.
St. Therese has plenty of stories about that, but like a sister behind her that just like couldn't sing well.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like making a noise with her mouth one time, and she said she just really wanted to turn around and stare at her. She'd be like, "What are you doing?" So it's you'll always find something where you said it's not. This does not feel sacred.
Yeah, yeah.
But hopefully, the time of prayer, they said maybe you'll have like that flash of insight.
Right.
You're like, you know what?
Yeah.
I need to.
Well, that's why
really,
the
like, control
Gnosticism
myself.
is a lie, because it like you can never escape.
Yeah.
Like you're always stuck. I just had the image of Christ being like nailed to the cross. It's like now you're bound completely to the world. Like, and now you have to deal with this. And so we're gonna bring Christ all the way down to hell to redeem it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's it. When I was reading this gospel, another something that came to mind was leisure basis of culture. The idea of what is proper leisure, because leisure and contemplation, this sitting at the feet of Jesus, they seem very, very much connected. And there's also this connection between leisure and celebration, like celebration, leisure, divine worship, because divine worship is a part of leisure. You don't, as Pieper will say, leisure is not done for the sake of something else, right?
Right.
It's not done for, I guess,
Utilitarian.
exactly,
Yeah.
a practical end. It's like I do this because of the restoration, and I feel better. It's like, that's the same thing for divine liturgy or divine worship. Is you do it to honor God, and not for any sort of practical practical end. And I think that's contemplation, is that you find your delight in the Lord, and that's it. Sure, you can say, well, it helps all these other aspects. It's like, but the primary means is that you're expressing love for the Lord.
Right. And that doesn't disregard those other means.
Yeah.
Right? It's like having your work can make you money. And you don't have to take your job and be like, well, ultimately it's for the higher praise of God, and the money doesn't matter. It's like, you do need money to put food on the table, to provide for your family, but all that's got to be nested in the hierarchy in which the top, which is contemplation of God, informs those things and then holds all that in tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a little bit what we were talking about last time. Like something has to be at the top. And if it's anything other than the one thing necessary, you're going to be disordered.
You've chosen the wrong part.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
If service and busyness, Martha is a saint, and like she has in John's gospel, she has like this beautiful confession after Lazarus dies, and she's like, I believe that you're the resurrection and the life. And you can. So it's unfortunate because, I don't want to paint her as like she's a non-religious person.
Right. She has a story arc.
Yeah, it's like she doesn't really believe. It's like that's clearly not the case. But just in this, we'll just take the Martha archetype. Let's just say, if you place busyness and service at the top, it's like, well, to service to what?
Right.
And it's like, well, to the Lord. It's like, okay, well, place the Lord at the top, and then it'll form your serving, because otherwise, they said, it becomes like a humanism.
Right.
That just, I serve humans qua humans.
Yeah.
Because they're humans.
Yeah.
As opposed to some sort of divine end.
Yeah. If you think about, I'm just thinking about the like the time I was home with the kids while my wife was resting from giving birth. So I just like went full like run the house mode. But think about all the particular things that go on in a normal house, in a family, like meal prep, dealing with what are the kids going to do on any given hour? If you're homeschooling, all of that, all those things like pull your attention and seem to have ends in themselves. It's like, well, I gotta make lunch because the kids are hungry. Like, and that becomes the end to itself. I got to do laundry because the clothes are dirty, and if I don't, then this happens. And like, you make a whole world around why you have to do particular things, and all those things are real. Kids are actually hungry. But if you just leave those things as they are like that, then you become fragmented and you become anxious and you are busy with many things, and it just feels like you're scattered. You just don't have the peace. You're just like running around like a chicken without a head, just doing all the things. At least that's how it was for me. But if you have something that can hold it all together, then there's peace. Then there's like, you see people who do have that contemplative life and run their life, and you see them, there's like, why are they so joyful? Why are they so peaceful? What is it that holds the things together? And the answer is not like, oh, well, they left all that behind and they're just floating around. It's like somehow they've contained it all, and there's peace, and there's like, finesse, and there's like a joy that comes from them. It has to be something at the top, and the only thing that can sustain is Christ. Obviously, that's the whole point of this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The contemplative life has been called the angelic life. It's the closest life of the angels because it's this, especially if it's. I guess I should say, maybe contemplation is the angelic state. Mm-hmm. And it's been called this because of, if you are truly a contemplative, if you're a monk or a nun, then you're constantly, praising the Lord. You're in the church a lot of, adoration, holy hours, all that different stuff. But I think, when I used to hear that, it was like, oh, like you said, like you float above it. Like it's like, it's because you're kind of like, you get away from the world. And it's like, no, that's actually not that's not what the angelic state means. It means that you're someone who is properly ordered. Like you're living the angelic life in your body, in that you have hopefully, learned to kind of control your mind and your passions, and that you have made the Lord, again, the center of your life, the one thing necessary, the top of the hierarchy, as angels have. That's really, I think, what it means. Not a flight from this world,
for sure,
or they said a flight from your body, because so angels don't have bodies. So it's like, we want to become that. It's like, no, you'll always be human, but you can become, elevated through a life of prayer, through a life of grace.
Right. The that made me think of I know Peugeot's talked about this a lot, the symbolism of zombies.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And they essentially have like, they're all body and no head. Like they don't have rational intellect, and so they're just walking around without any, direction, and they are trying to eat people's brains. And so it's like they're kind of like they're trying to get the head, but at the wrong level. They have like a category error. And so, but I just think about like people who like, yeah, I'm like a zombie. I'm like walking around like, I don't know, like I'm so busy. I just feel like I'm in a daze. It's because you don't have the head, and you're operating at different levels and trying to like find the head of things, but it's not clicking for you.
Christ is not the head of the universe for you.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. If you had the proper head, then you wouldn't be a zombie.
Yeah. Right. That's, wow. Yeah. The symbolism of the head, as we talked about last time, you have Christ, the head of the church, the head of the universe.
Yeah.
You have, again, if you start thinking of even your own body as a cosmos.
Yep.
It's like, okay, so what's the head of your universe?
Yep.
Your, like, particularly.
Your axis mundi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What's the center of the world? What's the axis of which everything turns, the hinge. And if you don't know, then you're a zombie.
Right.
No head.
And it's important to think of it that way. Like, you think about all the aspects of your life as like the extension of your body. Like thinking in a more fractal sense, symbolic sense, like not your physical body, but the body in which you operate, like your world around you. And that's not just like a cute metaphor to be like, oh yeah, that's interesting or whatever. It's like, no, but it has all the implications of like the body needs the head, and it doesn't function unless it's informed by the head. And that doesn't mean that the arm should be the head. Like, right, we're not collapsing categories and saying like everything just be contemplation. We're saying that this has to function from the information that comes from the head. And so what is the head in this analogy? Like, and you just kind of play that out in your mind, and you start to see like these symbols and these ways of thinking are not just like helpful because they just kind of help you explain something. It's deep patterns that we're trying to like unearth and inform how we live every aspect of our life.
Yeah, the idea of the human person as cosmos or like hierarchically ordered. That's from Bonaventure. And of course, if you read any of the classics, they talk about like the higher functions of the intellect and the lower functions of your appetites. But it really is kind of like that. And I think Bonaventure gets it from St. Augustine. The idea of being bent over, like the man in a state of sin is like bent, and he's intent on the things of the world because he's literally looking down.
Right.
He's hunched over, but through grace you are set right, and that's standing up.
That's upright.
Upright.
Yeah.
The rectitude. It's like you are now. Your head is now able to look up into the heavens and see the sun, as opposed to it's sort of it's almost like a Plato's cave.
Yeah.
It's kind of you're looking at the ground, and so there's light, but you don't really know where it's coming from, and you see shadows and just what's at your feet. But then once man can stand straight, then he can see the source of the light and everything like that.
Yep.
So I think.
And then the question is like, well, what's wrong with the ground? It's like, well, okay, it's about the proper ordering of things, because humility means to be grounded, but your feet are on the ground, right? So like the extensions of you go down to the dirt, and so that you're planted. But does that mean you put your face to the ground? No. So everything has to be in the right place in order for it to function. So it's not an abandonment of the ground, right? Because then you got the Icarus problem of flying too close to the sun. So it's like it's a full tension of all the things in the right place.
Feet on the ground, head in the clouds,
Exactly.
Head in the sky. No, but it's true. You never. I made a post about this on X, and someone got upset. In the comment, which is it's always funny to me because I feel like I'm so small on X. Like,
one
person finds it and comes after me, it's funny. But
that's hilarious.
I said asceticism isn't about flight from the world. It's ultimately eschatological and your end, and it's about, and I don't know another word for it, but it's spousal. It's about union with God.
Yep.
And you don't ever become an angel. And you don't flee the world. You love God in this world with your body, in the body.
Yep.
So it can't be ever a flight from this, because that's when you start getting disordered, and also you have incorrect ideas about human nature. Really,
Right. Yep.
It's like you're never going to be something else other than what you are. You can experience theosis, and you can become one with God, but you're always going to be human. To which this person said that they said something like that it was asceticism is grotesque, and I responded with
no.
I was like, well, like only the ascetic really knows how to love, or truly loves,
right.
And to which he asked, is Christ, or was Christ an ascetic? And the answer is, probably no. Certainly St. John the Baptist was, but it's more fundamental that all love involves discipline and sacrifice.
Exactly.
You can say, well, that's not, extreme asceticism. It's like, okay, but
I'm talking about fractal asceticism.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like, but you still have to sacrifice.
Exactly.
And that sacrifice is the recognition that your feet are on the ground.
Exactly.
Like I'm still human.
Right.
I'm
Acknowledge
not an angel.
the fact that we do accumulate things that have to be burned off.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what to tell you. You don't experience that in your life?
Yeah, right.
Everybody does.
Right. It's like your feet are on the ground and they're getting dirty,
Yeah.
and you know what that means,
Right.
You see the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
So getting back to leisure as leisure and its connection to contemplation. I was brushing up on the book there, and leisure basis of culture, and he was saying that leisure is like contemplation, that it's like a higher order of the active life. But he had a really interesting, Pieper had a really interesting kind of example. He said that, when a man says nightly prayers, like he might sleep better.
Yeah.
That's true. But that's not really why you say your nightly prayers. That's not the utility that's in mind there. And I think it's the same thing that we're trying to say here about the one thing necessary. It's not so much that you keep this capstone in mind so that you'll serve better. It's almost because the reality is I think you will, but it's you probably have a better way to say this, but it's like almost a mysterious working of grace. It's like it just happens that it does actually make your life better.
All the good things you do are going to have fruits, but those particular things aren't the reason why you're doing them. It's ultimately for God Himself. You think about the kind of like conservative case for marriage and having kids not out of wedlock and all that, and all the like, well, here's the statistics and economic and the, like your GDP is higher if everybody's just stop having sex all the time. Have more kids, but within the context of marriage, et cetera, et cetera. But it's like all these like rationales for it, again, don't seem to bind the world unless it's something a lot higher that provides the fruit for all the benefits of why the world is ordered that way, in that you should wait till marriage to have kids. Like, we're all not trying to collectively raise GDP. We're all just trying to live according to the moral order of the universe. Yeah. And then from there, which again ultimately is not a moral hierarchy, or like the reason it's not a morality that you just like bang that over the head of somebody. It's because we love God. There's no other way to say that. And then that becomes from there the byproducts of like, well, then your country runs better and maybe you sleep better because you pray. Like all of that are fruits of the Spirit, if you will.
Yeah, I think fruits of the Spirit is exactly it.
Yeah.
And there is definitely a rise right now of like the usefulness of Christianity. And when I was prepping for this, that's something that I think it's in the same chapter on Mary, that John Henry Newman said that. He said something something has gone very wrong when our defenders talk about the usefulness of Christianity.
Right.
It's like there's something's gone wrong, I think, with the Christian witness, because it's like it's not that it's useful, it's that it's true.
Yep.
And when you live according to Christianity, things do get better, but they get better because they're true.
Right.
In a sense, it's not.
It's important to make that distinction for sure.
Yeah, it's like the reason why things have worked and the reason why, people defended Christianity and such in the past is because of conviction that it was ultimately the truth.
Right.
And, as someone like Peterson might say, it's like, the truth will set you on an adventure. The truth, as Christ will say, truth will set you free. And if it's reduced to usefulness, then you really just need the next useful thing.
Yeah.
Or until it's not useful, as John Henry Newman also says. It's like they're going to defend us until there's a scruple about it, and it's like, actually, we don't really need you guys anymore.
Exactly. The Josef Pieper in Leisure Basis of Culture makes that case that the notion that things should be done for their own sake kind of developed as a Band-Aid fix for the growing utilitarian nature of things, as people like find ends of like, why do we do this? It's like, well, it's for this and it's for, it's useful in society and et cetera, et cetera. So like the term of like, well, can music be appreciated for its own sake has like kind of come into popularity because it's like trying to protect it from that growing utilitarian vibe. But it itself is not, it's still not that helpful to say something can be appreciated for its own sake. Because, like, sake, that kind of etymology coming from sacred, like for its own sacredness. It's like, well, there is a sacredness about it that should be separate from the utilitarian aspect, and that is actually outside itself, directed towards God. So, like, can music be appreciated for the sake of God? Is a better way of saying that, as a defense against the utilitarian nature of things. But yeah, I've always had a bone to pick with the like for its own sake term, because nothing should be for its own sake, right? It's always for the sake of a higher purpose. But it has to be the better part of the thing.
Yeah, I wonder if Bonaventure would say that the only thing that's done for its own sake is worship of God.
Yeah.
Because as we talked about reduction of the arts to theology, it's like, well, actually, all these things find their meaning and find their sacredness, the reason why they do them, in something higher.
Yep, exactly.
Because they're participating in something higher.
Yep.
And not just music ends at music.
Yep.
Like, it has to end in the highest principle that orders everything else, which would be God.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Coming full circle back to the reduction of the arts to theology is exactly where that I was going with that.
Yeah. St. Theresa of Avila, reflecting on the Martha and Mary, says that love turns work into rest. I know you know this quote. I know you love it. And it goes on. She goes on to say that for love alone is what that gives value to all things, and a kind of love so great that nothing hinders it from the one thing necessary. So I think that's what gives, or that's what is the kind of Christian idea behind prayer, and behind, I think, even trying to sanctify the ordinary, is that the love that is hopefully inflamed in you and inspired in you in prayer, even the ordinary doesn't hinder it from the one thing necessary. Like you can still, I guess, love through it, and it's the love that it's cliche, but it's true. The love you pour into things is what gives it its value.
100%.
And not just, like I said, for its own sake. And, it's, you got to do this one thing.
Yeah. Then you could tease that out too, of being like the love of what? Because, you have, the love of money can definitely motivate one to do a lot of things. But it's not going to hold the world together. Like, something will slip out. There will be a missing of the mark. Like, the sin happens because of that trying to hold the world together. So like, it's almost like a metaphysical claim. It's like love turns work into rest, as just a principle of reality of like that which you pay attention to will inform your life. And so then the question is, what do you love the highest? And that will hold all the world together. So if it's money, if it's utilitarian ends, if it's just pleasing people, like whatever it is, you'll have motivations. Like, there'll be a lot encased in that, because those are deep patterns, but they don't ultimately hold the whole world together for you. And it's like something will go awry and you will be misdirected. You'll be busy, and Christ will have to call out to you, be like, pay attention to the right thing, please.
Yeah. St. John the Cross has a quote, something like, deny yourself and you'll see what you love. Like, it's kind of a loose translation. It's like you'll see where your loves really are. And I think that is a very worthwhile examination. They said, what do you love? And I don't know, maybe you could put this into the gospel today. It's like, Martha, like, Mary is sitting at my feet. Mary loves me. And in a sense, like, I know you love me, but you have to use this work. Like, don't pull her away, because you're pulling her away to get distracted.
Right.
And you shouldn't be distracted either. You should place love of God as the highest principle.
Right.
Again, from the gospel the other week, when the love of God, love of neighbor, it's actually the same thing, when you, or they're subsumed in one principle. If you love God, you love your neighbor. Yep. I think that's, again, happening here. It's like, if you love God, if that's the thing, then, or that's the highest principle, then the service that Martha's doing, the love of neighbor will flow, and you can sanctify the ordinary.
Right.
But that has to be, I think, just asking, what do you love?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
That's really it.
And it's really a self-check too, because you could, like if you play it out in your mind, at least for me, like if I truly love God, then it will inform the way I see my body, right? Like the things I interact with in the world and the things I'm building, my household, my children. And so loving God, knowing that he is fully incarnate and in all things, and then people are made in the image of God. Like if I deeply know that to my core, and that is the thing I'm really paying attention to, then when my kids are hungry, I'm gonna make lunch for them, and then it's gonna turn work into rest, because it becomes an extension of my love for God, because I see the world this way, and like my world is playing out because of the proper orientation I have, and that leaves things just a little bit less stressful, a little bit more joy in the house, a little bit more peace and order. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's I think seeing God like that, or seeing the image of Christ in other people, like your children, your neighbor. I think that's part of this practice of the presence of God, that you can do throughout the day, that so many spiritual writers offer. Certainly, I mean, everyone knows like Brother Lawrence, like that. That's like his whole book. That's his whole thing. But it comes from a long line of other writers, certainly St. John the Cross and St. Joseph of Avila. But this idea of recalling that God dwells within your soul, and God's in you, and then you are in God, kind of thing, and that you can never be separated from Him, really. And so, just small acts throughout the day of recalling that reality, and then a simple prayer. I think this is the power of the Jesus prayer from the East. Yep. It's just small little moments, and then if you keep those, and then like you said, then your children are asking for something, you can see, here's an opportunity.
Exactly.
Like this is these are like tokens of God that something like He's calling me to fulfill my vocation. And you don't have to see your secular life, your ordinary life, as in opposition to a life of union with God. It can be one continuous prayer, hopefully, hopefully, as St. Paul says, like pray always. And I think that's one way to do it. Of course, as I think Josef Pieper will, be careful to make a distinction. It's like you don't want to say like your work is your prayer and your prayer is your work.
That's right.
The same
that's
thing.
Right.
Like
it's an important distinction.
They're not, the reduction. It's like, well, when I work, it's the same exact thing as prayer. It's like, no, like prayer. The prayer is the better part, and it is, as we said, the thing that informs your life.
I feel like that would be almost it's like a lie to yourself. Like you're trying to collapse the world and being like, well, I work all the time, but in a sense, that's really leisure. And I pray. I say an Our Father before I work my 80 hours. It's like, I feel like there might be something underneath that's like, well, what's really at the top? Again, like really dig deep and like what is motivating you to do all the things. Yeah, I know. I'm speaking from experience. Like I find that in my life of being like trying to excuse and collapse, and it's like, well, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah. No, I think that's exactly it. It's like, well, just instead, just pray.
Yeah. Because we are embodied creatures that live in time. So then there's also like the aspect of there's a time and place for the right thing. So maybe food does need to be prepared when Jesus shows up to Martha and Mary's house. But like right now, this time, what is the appropriate time? What is the thing to do now? And so like, you need to make a time for prayer. And so again, like we're like moving up the hierarchy of like, we see the sacred in the profane, but then also apart from that, there's actual time for the sacred, which is actual worship, actual going to mass. Like that's why the church requires us to go to mass every Sunday, because you do have to separate time because we're embodied creatures in time. So there has to be that separate space. And then it moves out, and then within each little level of your profane life, your mundane life, then there's elements in there that break apart into sacred and profane. But you tease that out. But if that's like, oh well, it's all here, so I don't need to go to church. It's like no, you're missing the whole point. You're not doing this.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, totally. It's the sacred space.
Yeah.
And then the sacred space of time.
Right.
Like
exactly.
Like there's actually moments, like you said, where you set this apart. That's sacred. Holy, to be set apart. It's like this is a time to be set apart, which again, even the idea that Sunday is actually the beginning of the week, which, for a long time I always thought it was kind of
the weekend.
The weekend.
Yeah.
And Monday is the beginning of the week. But actually, Sunday is. And Sunday is a day of rest. It's supposed to be the day of leisure and the day of creation, recreation, but not, we think of creation as the day of work. But it's the day to do like the work of God,
right?
Which is divine worship, and divine worship is part of actually a leisurely activity because it's the only thing that's done,
right,
for the sake of itself. It's the only thing that has the end in God. Yeah, that idea of sacred time and sacred space.
Was it Pieper who said that? That like leisure is to time what?
I know
what the temple is to space.
Yeah, no, I think that sounds like him.
Yeah,
because he does like a little play on words of like space, sacred space.
Yeah,
and then the sacred space of time.
Yeah.
I got that from him.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Again, thinking of more of a cosmic vision, it's like even that week. It's like, so again, you're a part of the cosmos, and then but like the day of the week is a part of the cosmos, and it's like that Sunday is a cosmic day,
right,
of religious rest that certainly Americans don't have.
That's right.
It's time for football, time for everything else.
Yeah.
But it's like actually that day is supposed to speak to you. It's supposed to say something about the rest of the
And Pieper talked about this too, about like leisure and rest not being like a break from the real thing. Like this is actually the more real thing, right? Like Sunday should be the like exemplar of how eternity is going to be. And then that informs how the rest of your week goes. Not like I'm doing really important stuff for 6 days and then I take a break because, I'm tired and then I get back to it.
Yeah.
You got it upside down. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. I had the quote somewhere about, meaning of celebration is man's affirmation of the universe and his experiencing the world in an aspect other than its everyday one. So the Sunday celebration is an affirmation of the entire universe, and then you're experiencing the world now as this day is a sacred day.
Yep.
And not just the every other day where I go 9 to 5. I work. Yep. It's like, no, this is a day that is not made for work. It's made to remember the saving acts of Christ, but also just creation, the first day of creation, or the day of rest. After the toil in the universe.
Then so like if you think, at least for Catholics, Mass is that act of remembrance. And like you said, finding Christ in your day, of like the little act of remembering Christ in all things. So every week we go to Mass and we do this giant act of remembering, lest we become dismembered, right? Like if you like, this is like something. What is it, Dietrich von Hildebrand? He says like the like major sin in modern times is forgetfulness, and that corresponds right with that, like not remembering Christ in all things leaves you dismembered, right? As the opposite of remembering. And so like if you want to build your hierarchy, build your worldview, build your life, you're going to have to remember all the things. And the only way to do that is to keep Christ at the center and to constantly remember it, for it's just going to keep falling apart and dismembering, and you have to remember. And so we have cycles of doing that every week. We have the yearly cycle that does that in the church. And so we're all just trying to participate in these different levels of the cycle of renewal to keep the world together.
Yeah. Your individual world at the very, like you said,
exactly.
Your individual cosmos, like, at many different levels, you are dismembered, or, you're disintegrated. And then the idea of Sunday is to be reintegrated.
That's right.
In this sacred space. And again, the church itself is the image of the cosmos again.
Yeah,
it's the image of the mystical body of Christ. That's, that's why you go to a particular place.
Right.
and gather with other people.
Right.
And it's not just a private affair.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just something you can do anywhere. You know, again, of course, you should pray anywhere you can. But this is a day sacred to the Lord, as he says. So the one thing necessary, you know, I think it's the capstone of, again, the universe. It's the capstone of your, all the way down to your individual life. And if you don't have this one thing that holds it all together, then you're dismembered, you're disintegrated.
Right. Yeah.
And if you forget the one thing you love, like you said, what is it that you love? And if it's the Word, if you listen to the Word, then that'll inform the rest of your life.